Coming to you straight from the Rio Grande and beyond. Broadcasting to the four corners of the globe. So grab your seat, your coffee, or your sundowner.
Okay, everybody, here we go.
On point, as always. This is Gloves Off. Gloves Off.
Have you ever wondered about what happens in a martial arts studio? Well, you start right away by setting goals, building determination, gaining focus, building skills, all while becoming more fit, gaining confidence, and learning self-defense. Huithorn Academy is a school where attitude meets aptitude. So give us a call at 956-401-4868. Back at you in Gloves Off, and I'm Paul Huithorn. I'm here with one of the pillars of our state, Texas State Representative Richard Raymond. How are we doing, brother?
Good to see you, man. Good to be with you. Good.
How's the campaign? How's everything going with the elections?
Good, man. You know, I like campaigning. I've said this before, and I enjoy it. It's a chance to get out and connect with people. I try to do that all the time. I always tell people, you got something, call me. I give my cell phone to everybody. You know, but campaigns where you're allowed to focus on the race itself and let people decide whether they want to give you another chance, another couple of years. That's what I'm doing. I'm campaigning hard. I've been doing it all year. Getting good reception, good response. I think we're going to do very well on November the 8th. So it's fun. I enjoy it. I had a little forum yesterday. I enjoyed it.
That's awesome. You know, it's always good to see candidates are enjoying what going out there, and some of them are real nervous, and some of them are you can't. You just have to smile and keep on going forward.
I mean, I see that. Some people don't, they can't stand campaigning, or I wish this was over, whatever. I'm like, hey, you know what? I know it's going to be over on November 8th. So to me, it's like, this is part of the process. Somebody asked me once, did you like campaigning more or legislating more? I said, I like both. And they go, well, yeah, but you have to like one more. I go, no. To me, it's also part of the process. If you want to be able to go in and serve, and in my case, work on legislation to help people, you have to go through the election process. It's all tied in together. So I like all of it. I enjoy the election process. We only do that, during election time. The rest of the time you're working and you're meeting with different groups and all that goes on all the time, right? But during the campaign, where people are focused on the candidacy, people are focused on what you've done, what you want to do in the future, and I think that's a good thing. So I enjoy it. I tell people, if you don't like campaigning, you probably shouldn't run for office.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It is part of the process. It's part of the process. You have to go out there and shake hands. You have to go back out there, but you always have to be doing that. Once you're elected, you have to be out there and you have to connect with the people that voted you in. You have to connect with everybody.
But it's a different dynamic, Paul. Like when after the election, which obviously I go to a lot of things, I still meet with a lot of people and all. But it's almost like then you're really focused on the problems, on the issues, on the opportunities, on what's on people's minds in terms of what we can do to make things better, like things that you and I have worked on. That's going on. It's a different dynamic. When you're not in campaign mode, even though you're meeting with a lot of groups, you're meeting with a lot of people, everybody is focused on solutions. What do we need to do better? How do we get there? And you have that exchange and that conversation. The campaign is just a different dynamic. Campaign is campaign. You're out there, you're giving speeches, you're asking people for their support, supporters holding up your signs, putting up their signs in their yards and all that stuff. And it's a different dynamic. You're right that in some ways the campaign doesn't end, but it's a different dynamic after the election. After the election, it's let's get to business. How do we make things better?
Absolutely. And then sometimes when you're campaigning, you're going to find out issues that you hadn't heard before, you hadn't seen come up, and all of a sudden you say, you know what, let's talk about that. Yes. Let's make that happen. And yes. Have you seen anything like that you've said, you know what, we need to change?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, it's interesting. One of the things that that I have been pushing hard for a long time and continue to, and it comes up even more in the campaign, is property taxes. I have championed lowering property taxes for many years now. I worked, even though, look, I'm a Democrat and Abbott is a, Republican, but I've worked with Abbott in his office trying to do what we can to reform property tax laws in Texas so that taxes don't go up as much, and even more if we can lower them, which is what I want to do. You hear that during, work time when we're not in campaign, but like you get to campaign right now and you hear it even more. It's like, to your point, it's even more vocal. People are even more talking about, on property taxes. They're talking about one of the things that I worked on and passed a bill. 5 of us got together, we passed a bill not to defund the police. I'm very proud of that because, there are some folks out there that were talking about that and just dumb, in my opinion. So I said, we gotta pass a bill to prevent this from happening. I don't want defunding the police in Laredo, that's not what we need. And I feel justified that just recently you saw that the ratings came out. Laredo is the 3rd safest city in America. We have the lowest crime rate, the 3rd lowest crime rate in America, and the lowest in the state of Texas. Well, the reason that happened is because of bills like the one that I passed that says you cannot defund the police, you cannot lower what we're putting into law enforcement. We keep our community safe by investing in law enforcement. I know that, it's always been a priority for me. And so I feel justified when I see those rankings come out where Laredo is the safest city in Texas and the 3rd safest in the country. But during the campaign, you hear people talk about that. I'll have people tell me, hey, I saw you pass that bill. Thank you for doing that. Keep it up. So you do get that feedback during the campaign. Law enforcement, keeping our cities safe, that come up a lot during the campaign. Lowering property taxes, stopping them from continuing to go up, that's come up a lot. And so I get to point to the stuff that I've done already, and I'll be doing some more, God willing, after November the 8th.
Absolutely. Our police are first responders, number one.
Yes.
We're very proud of you all. Thank you all for what you all do. There's a lot of work that we need to do. There's some reform that we have to go in there. There has to be some nice dialogue back and forth. And I think now they want to change.
Yeah.
They want a change. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They themselves as well. And it's always the best thing, because one thing is, if we defund everything, the criminals are going to be the ones going to have everything.
They're the ones that benefit, man.
Yeah.
And so we can't lose sight of that. I've never lost sight of it. That's why I was the only Democrat that authored that bill. There were 4 Republicans and then me. But I knew I was doing the right thing. I knew that's what we needed. And I've been around long enough that I understand the value to investing in law enforcement, working with them. You want law enforcement agencies to continue to get better and to serve the community. But you work with them in figuring out how you move forward, and you work with the community in figuring out what do we need to do to make your neighborhood safer.
Absolutely. What else have you seen? What else?
Well, one of the things that I want to talk about this is, and I'm thankful that more and more people, oftentimes I've said veterans get taken for granted, because I feel that way. I've never taken veterans for granted. My whole life I've looked up to veterans. A lot of them have mentored me since I was a little kid, and so I have fought for veterans because they fought for us.
Absolutely.
And that's what I do. Well, right now I chair the Defense and Veterans Affairs Committee. So as chairman of that committee, I spend even more time working with veterans groups. And one of the bills that I'm introducing is, to help veterans, particularly veterans that have PTSD. You have so many veterans. I mean, remember, Paul, we've been at war for 20 years. 20 years. It's a lot. It's a new generation of veterans that have come back, been through some really difficult situations.
Sure.
100 years ago, 80 years ago, people would die in battle. Today, because of modern technology with reference to medication or healthcare or just being able to deal with injuries, a lot of veterans are coming back that years ago in World War II, they wouldn't have made it back, they'd have died on the battlefield. Now they're coming back, but they're coming back with disabilities or with more trauma, etc. And so my bill is going to say that veterans who have PTSD should be allowed to use cannabis, period, end of story. Smokable cannabis, gummies, I don't care. But we have to do that for the veterans. And I don't want this to get sidetracked into, we should legalize cannabis for everybody for recreational purposes. That's another debate, and we can have that debate. This one should not be a debate. We owe this to the veterans. trust me on this, Paul, and it's a public record. We've had many come and testify in front of my committee, the committee that I chair, and very passionate, talking about we have very high suicide rates amongst the veterans
Yes.
community in this country, in this state and in this country. And a lot of it has to do with the trauma that they've been through in the last 20 years of war in the Middle East. So you take it from these veterans that are coming and testifying, and they tell you, and it's legitimate, that this works for us. Being able to use cannabis helps us when we're especially dealing with PTSD, right? Or dealing with the fact that I lost both my legs, or I lost both my arms, or whatever, right? And so I'm doing that bill. I hope that we can pass it. I think we can. I know some people don't want to legalize cannabis. I get that. This isn't about cannabis. This is about helping veterans. I think they deserve it. We have enough testimony. We have enough evidence. We know the suicide rates are high. We know that this will help them. And it's easy medication. It's cheaper medication than a lot of the medication that they give them, psychotropic drugs that don't really work for them, cost a lot of money and don't do very well for them. So, that's one of the things that I'm going to push hard. I think that the community, I feel glad during the campaign that you see more and more people do care about our veterans. I guess it's because when you think about it, Paul, there's so many families now in Texas, here in Laredo or in Texas, that have someone in their family that went and fought in the last 20 years.
Absolutely.
And so they're seeing it up close and personal.
I mean, we have students from here that left, and some came back, and I'm very proud of all of them, and you see them. You see, we have a young man that left from the school here now. He did 4 tours in Afghanistan. And
That's tough, man.
So you see them. You see the changes. You see the smiles. You come back. They still smile, but it's a different glare in their eyes. And it's it's unfortunate, but they're the ones that keep our flag waving.
Absolutely.
And they're the ones that give us our freedom. They go fight for freedoms in other countries, and they give us our freedom. So if they need this to make themselves sane, from them not to go down that rabbit hole of suicide,
Yes.
we need to help them.
And I think we can. I feel very good about it. I've talked to some of my, especially Republican colleagues, because they're the ones that tend to push back more on the cannabis issue. But I'm seeing, my committee, I have 5 Republicans on my committee, including a couple of them that are veterans. And they see it, and they understand that they know where I'm coming from. And again, I think it's as simple as this, that more and more families have someone in their family who went off to war and who is suffering, and they need help.
Absolutely.
And you're right, trying to prevent them from going down that rabbit hole that leads to suicide. But that's something that I feel very strongly about. I'll tell you, I feel very good about what we've done on transportation. Since the last time I was here, we've come up with the announcement, working with the Texas Department of Transportation, where we're investing another $1.6 billion in Laredo roads, bridges, highways. That is going to help us tremendously, Paul. It is, trade is so important to this state and this country, but the role that we play in Laredo in moving that trade, I think more and more people are finding out how important that is. One of the things that Henry Quaid, our congressman, did in Washington, passing the transportation bill through, transportation infrastructure bill. So we got a lot of money in Texas, right? But then once it gets to Texas, then guys like me in the legislature, we got to go in there and fight for that money and make the arguments and why we need that down here.
Absolutely.
One of the things that I did in meeting with TxDOT and talking to them about the need for the investment here, I told them, remember a few months ago when Governor Abbott stopped all the traffic at the bridge to do inspections, where they were inspecting every tire and light and just all that stuff, and did it for about a week. And it just threw back trade in this country tremendously. And I told the TxDOT people, remember what the number was? They said we lost about $4.6 billion in trade. You remember that? The hit to the economy in Texas was about $4.6 billion in 1 week. And they said, yeah, we remember that. I said, okay. Well, let me tell you something. When that happened, that hurt us in Laredo, but we didn't lose $4.6 billion in Laredo. The state of Texas lost $4.6 billion. And God knows how much the whole country lost, because there was another, God knows how many billion. Sure. So I said, that makes the point. how important we are to the economy of this state and of this country. That 1 week proved what we've said all along. The importance of Laredo is in keeping what people now understand the term supply chain. Now people understand what that means. Well, guess what? Laredo is supply chain. That's who we are.
That's absolutely.
You know, we may as well call it Laredo, comma, supply chain Texas, right? Because that's what we are. And so, you know, that had a big impact on them. And so with this 1.6 billion, Paul, that we're putting in, it's 5 times more than we've ever done. I mean, we've put in a lot already. We've put in many billions over a long period of time. And we've done a lot in terms of the transportation infrastructure. But now we're taking it to another level. We're taking it to a whole another level. And I think that's going to be good. Obviously, I think it's going to be good for Laredo. But I know it's also going to be good for the whole state and the whole country. So it's one of those things where you fight for these things, you educate the agencies, you educate your colleagues, you tell them, you need us. If you're from Dallas, or you're from Houston, or you're from Amarillo, or you're from East Texas, guess what? You need Laredo. Because if it's not for Laredo, you don't have all these things, all the supplies that you need for your stores, for your cars, for all kinds of things that are coming from south of the border.
Absolutely. Now, going back, you know, every single one of those projects that you said that you're doing, it's needed.
Yeah.
It's something that is needed. It's been, you know, we commend you with that. Now, tell the folks out there, when's early voting ending?
Well, so early vote, so today is Wednesday. Early vote will end on Friday, day after tomorrow. So today, Thursday, tomorrow, Friday. Friday's the last day of early voting. And then election day, of course, is November the 8th, Tuesday, November the 8th. So I hope people go vote. You know, I mean, you know, even if you're not going to vote for me, go vote. But if you're going to vote for me, definitely go vote, you know. But I think it's important that people participate. We were talking before we went on air here. You know, people forget how lucky they are to live in this country. This is a great country, and this is a great state, and we should always strive to make it better. Because challenges, you know, you love to have the challenges that we're growing. We need to do more things because of all the growth that's going on. Well, I like those challenges. It's better than being a ghost town, right?
Absolutely.
That's headed in the other direction. And so I just think it's good for people to participate in the election process. We're going to have a new mayor. We're going to have 4 new members of city council. That's a majority on the city council. People in Laredo, the voters who are watching this, you get to decide who that is. You know, state rep all the way up to governor. I mean, United States Congress. All of those are important. And so, you know, I hope they'll vote. I hope people come out and vote. You know, we'll have so many people that don't vote, right, that are registered and don't bother to take the time. We'll give you 2 weeks to go early vote. Find one day
hour,
and
go do
30 minutes. We have a
it.
lot of places to go vote all over town. So hopefully they'll come out. But they got till Friday on early vote. I know there are a lot of people that just traditionalists, they like to vote on election day. That's fine. For me, election day is the first day of early vote. I go vote on the first day of early vote. That's election day for me.
Absolutely, same thing. The first day of early vote, that's when I go vote.
Yeah.
So, folks, research your candidates, go vote. 2 more days for early voting, then all of a sudden you're going to have to vote in your precinct on election day. It's a lot easier. And once more, we want to thank State Representative Richard Raymond for everything that he does for Laredo. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. And thank you for having this. I think, you know, Paul, these podcasts are great. More and more people are getting educated on the issues, and you've got a lot going on in your life. You take time to do this, and I appreciate it. I know a lot of us do, so keep going. And good Lord willing, we'll be back here after November 8th, and we can talk more about the session and some of the other things that I'm hoping to do.
Absolutely. Best of luck. And again, folks, go out there and vote. And this is a man you should vote for. Okay? Till next time, much peace.